Basil. On this end, I will start with Honorable Bishop Kosgei, Honorable Sunkuli, and Honorable Kamene. On this end, Honorable Amudende, Honorable Shinali, and Honorable Salasia, in that order. Get the microphones. We will do another round. Be patient. We'll do another round. We start with Honorable Faith. Honorable members, let us keep the conversations as low as possible so that we hear the questions.
Thank you very much. And thank you for those two presentations from our PS and our very own KK. Mine goes to Bwana PS Kiptoo about pending bills. I know you mentioned, but you didn't conclude on this issue. The status of pending bills is a great concern to Kenyans. Verified bills remain unpaid to date for many years. Please tell Kenyans when you intend to pay the verified ones, because they've been pending for even more than 5 years. Businesses are suffering. Businesses are cash trapped. Please save Kenyans from this very difficult situation and assure them when you are going to pay pending bills. Thank you very much.
Next is Honorable Karoli.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Let me begin by inquiring from both the Chair and the PS whether the constitutional principles under Article 10 and Article 232 on management of public resources were complied with. In particular, whether there's an independent market survey study selecting which method of divestiture would yield the best returns for the public. Because here we have a block sale to an existing shareholder, but that is not the only divestiture method. We could have offered that to competition, we could have gone to further public flotation. The first thing that we would like to see as a house is an independent market survey report telling us this is the best pathway to divest shares of government. Secondly, Article 206 and the Constitution are very clear that resources received from divestiture or these other revenue streams must go into a fund. If it is an infrastructure fund, as you have said, it must be established by an act of parliament. I am not aware that we have any infrastructure fund established by an act of parliament. What I've heard is that there's a company incorporated to receive this money, which by itself I believe is an illegality. I would like to hear what the correct position from Treasury is on this. And finally, if we have been offered, this offer has been made by Vodacom to us, and we have to accept it by 26th day of March. I am aware there'll be dividends of about 7 to 9 billion paid out.
Honorable members, we avoid speeches and long questions.
After that particular date, who will receive the dividends that pertain to the 15% stake that the government is divesting? Thank you very much.
Very well. Basil.
Thank you, Speaker, and thank you to our good presenter, Honorable Kimani. My question is in regard to the 40 billion advance dividends. If you look at the way you arrive at the 40 billion, I want to get clarity from Honorable Kimani how he arrived at the 40 billion advance dividend while taking into consideration the market forces which determine the performance of a company. So I think that is my question. Again, in terms of the method that he has outlined, the methods are not exhaustive because we have several methods of valuing shares. So I think he needs to, that's a comment to him because he only talked of 4, but those 4 are picked from the several outlined methods to calculate the value of shares. Thank you.
Thank you. To our presenters, kindly note the areas. If you need to delegate, note the areas also. Bishop.
Thank you, Sessional Chair. Thank you, PS, for the insightful presentation. We are more learned after this. I have only one question. When I saw in the ranking of nations that are ahead of us in terms of their capacity in their economy, majority of them got a lot in connection with their natural resource revenue, more than us. And even the big economies in the world, including China, Russia, and also USA and other countries, their economies looks like they are being boosted by the same natural resource revenue. In your budget and in your proposals, there is no clear indication that you would like this country to focus on our natural resources so that it can pack up our economy. What are you planning or envisioning as a Ministry of the National Treasury on that? Because we have potentials in this country. Mr. Speaker, you can see we have potentials of gold, we have oil, we have several others. And can't we, at one point, focus in exploiting that? Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Sunkuli.
Madam Chair, Mr. Speaker, I just have two concerns. One, to ask the PS about the equalization fund. Now, what happens with the equalization fund? Is the money there ring-fenced? Is it kept separately? And does it flow from one financial year to the other, or it ends as soon as the financial year ends? And the second concern I have, now that our able chair has raised this issue about the consolidated fund, and it is very clear the way he has put it in his eloquence, that under the Constitution, the consolidated fund has charges. The first charge, the second charge, and if you are going to put money there, definitely it is going to be controlled by the rules of the consolidated fund. Now, which one will come first? Will it be the establishment of the infrastructure fund or the passing of the sessional paper? So that we know that once we pass the sessional paper, then we know where the money will actually be rightfully lying.
Thank you. Honorable Kamene.
Thank you, thank you. Mine is just one question I've observed. When committee chair was giving his calculations on how they arrived to the sales of the shares. And I just want to, I've just been asking myself, recently we had the Portland shares that were being sold. And it came out very clearly. And in the committee, we did ask, what formula are we using? At the market, the shares were at 61, and they were sold at 29. And SSF shares were sold. What formula, what methodology was used? We are there, we brought that question in Parliament, and somehow it was dilly-dallied, and it was not taken forward. The mischief behind these sales of this is what is wanting. Kenya is a corrupt country, and we know that. And it is no secret about it. What are we going to, how are we going to ensure? Pesa yote, and with our good names of infrastructure and everything, it will be used in the right way. Asante. And why were our shares sold at throwaway price?
Very well. Wamudende.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is...
Kindly don't raise more hands. We are doing one round. We'll have the presenters address them, then we'll do another round. Be patient. Honorable Wamudende.
Yeah, my questions, one is the pending bills. Has the ministry tried to correlate the relationship between maybe pending bills and non-compliance in tax? Because Kenyans are owed a lot of money, which has affected businesses, which could also be affecting the collection in revenue. Number two, if we look at KRA, for example, we have VAT which becomes due at the point of invoicing, yet government pays sometimes in 6 months, 1 year. So do you have a mechanism to protect suppliers or even contractors? Because when VAT becomes due, already when KRA is facing you, you are like a villain. Is it possible for VAT to be due, especially for government contractors, at the time you are paid? Because you invoice today, you are paid sometimes after 2 years. That's on VAT. Then on
how
the
many
Safaricom
questions?
thing,
You've already asked two questions.
It's a very important question. One, is there something like preemptive rights or rights of first refusal for existing shareholders? Probably that could have led to government considering Vodacom as the first person to offer those shares, so that we avoid the talk that is going on about going out to auction when there are already existing shareholders who have a right to buy Safaricom. Thank you.
Very well. Shinali,
Thank you, Madam Chair.
keep it precise.
I want to be precise, Madam Chair, in terms of privatization of public companies or facilities. Madam Chair, there is the issue of when we are selling our shares in public companies, we need to look at the issue of control of market. I want to take one case in particular of EABC, East African Portland Cement, Madam Chair, where one company, Kalahari Cement from Tanzania, is purchasing shares of Holcim Limited of 41.5% in Bamburi. The shares on the market is 58, and the Holcim through Associated International and Cementia associate companies are selling at 27 through a private arrangement. This is where the government of Kenya through NSSF owns 27%.
Honorable Shinali, don't do a presentation because we are still waiting for the question.
Yeah, I want to put the question, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, through the sale, the government of Kenya is losing 781 million because on the market is 58, and through a private sale, without consultation, without public participation, they are selling at 27. And NSSF also, the matter is in court, but it's also selling at 27%, 27 shillings. While on the market, NSC, it's 58. We would not like to know why. And the 6% owned by the public, have this public been involved in the whole process, Madam Chair? That's what we would like to know. And how much shares owned by Treasury at 25% was sold at, so that we can arrive at the total amount that Kenyans are losing through this process, which we have not seen an independent evaluation, which we have not seen a report from Competition Market Authority.
Honorable Shinali. Thank you. Salasia?
My concern is not about the share pricing, Madam Chair. My concern is on decision-making organ of the institution as Safaricom. You all know that you cannot put a well-performing company on and try to dilute the shares. Because you know that Safaricom plays a very is a strategic investment in this country. So trying to put it on to dilute its shares, it is going to affect its performance going forward, because we are stripping off the assets or the capital and put into other things. So I want to stand here to challenge the Bwana PS that it's not prudent to reduce the government say, because we know government relies on Safaricom and on many areas, and we must know the fundamentals of Safaricom, that it's not about making profit, but how strategic it is to this country. So Bwana PS trying to interfere with the Safaricom, you are going to mess up. Like yesterday, even Shah relies on Safaricom, everything relies on Safaricom. So honorable members, I want to ask you, don't even bother to listen about the pricing. It is not about the pricing. We have a company like Mumia Sugar that was performing so well before it was put on NSE. But because it was put there, it interfered with the decision-making organ. And that is how it led to its collapse. So, honorable members, please reject this thing called stripping off the government investment. Thank you so much, Madam Speaker.
We'll give the PS. There was no question. We'll give the PS. We'll give the PS to make to answer those. If you need assistance from your team, you can request for it, and Honorable KK will also respond to a few of them. Then we will take another round. I've already directed so.
Mr. Speaker and honorable members, before I answer some of the questions, I would like to introduce members of my team from Treasury. We have Albert Mwenda. He's the Director General in charge of Budget, Economic and Fiscal Affairs. Then we have Stephen Ikiki, who is the Director in charge of Public Investment Management. And then we have Mr. Bet, who is in charge of Parliamentary Liaison. Is in charge of matters parliament. So, Honorable Faith, your question was on pending bills. And I would like to report that a pending bills verification committee was appointed and gazetted to finalize work by last year. But we had to give additional time because the workload was more, and their mandate ended in December last year. So we have now a report that has been presented to us, which we are getting ready to present to Cabinet for approval on the next step. The figures I have seen is that of the 660 billion that were given to the committee, they have managed to recommend for payment about 255 billion. Out of that 255 billion, 80 billion is to the rural sector. And that has already been settled through the securitization of RMLF. So we have a balance of 175 billion, which is we are going to take to Cabinet, and it's our intention that we have, allocate financing and bring to you for approval in Parliament in this supplementary. And if our fiscal framework can accommodate the entire amount, we will do so. If not, we will also have part of it to be settled in July, the next, so that we clear it in 2 fiscal years. It is our intention to clear everything verified, because we are also aware that many entities are really suffering because they have not been paid. And so that is why it is very high on agenda. Honorable Karoli, I think in the independent market survey, I thought FCPA chairman, Mr. Honorable Korea, did very well by actually bringing the formulas here. I am a person from economics and finance, and I fully concur on the valuation approaches he presented and the numbers that came out there, because I think I have also interacted with them. So if you look at the volume, what we call volume of weighted average price for the last 6 months before the time when we went for the valuation, you will see that average price was showing 27.5 shillings. And you saw the market price that was given there was around 24. I think the highest was 36. What was eventually agreed with the Vodacom was 34 shillings, which is, so this sale is being done at premium of 23.7%. And I know the prices may have changed from that time, so that what you see in the market may be lower, but you will see that it is above 17%, selling at a premium. So here we are getting value for money. And then early dividend, you also saw, it was shown clearly. You are getting 40 billion early in advance, and you pay 55 in 6 years. So if you took 40 billion now, assuming you took a debt, you would find that you would, the mathematics is short. Maybe someone should show us that slide, because those figures were very correct.
Honorable Karoli, what is out of order?
There is the independent market survey, which is what you asked.
Mr. Speaker, under our Constitution, and Article 232 and Article 10, there are principles of public finance management. Before any discussion should have started on the sale of government stake, the government should have done a survey listing all the pathways to divestiture and analyzing each of those pathways, their pros and cons, and the most likely yields that they would bring if government divested 15% of its shares in Safaricom. What we have here is an exclusive arrangement. And I gave the example that even though it is a block sale to an existing shareholder, suppose the 15% shares were offered to other telco operators or to other institutional investors, which one would have given us a more competitive edge as a government? That is the question I'm asking. It is not the valuation methods. I understand those. I'm not interested in the valuation methods. I'm interested in the divestiture options that the government should have first.
Point made and
made your point.
So that's the answer I want. Yeah.
Yes. So I want to confirm that we actually did that in-house. By the time we made this decision to go for a premium and giving to Vodacom, we had done that. Because if we offered to the public, most likely we would be selling at a discount, not at a premium. And that is what we worked out. If we went to market and give to the rest of the 25%, we would be selling at a discount. So discount means we would be even lower than 24.5. It will be at a lower value of 24.5. But here we have negotiated for the best price, 34 shillings, which is 24% higher. And you can prove us wrong by telling us that we would be selling it at a premium to the public, to the other shareholders. Yeah, we can do that in our in-house, because I have the director there, he's taking note. Honorable Basil, you also asked the same thing on 40 billion. And I think we were given here, that presentation that was here, which showed that 40 billion is good, because you would be getting a price of, borrowing at 5.6%, as opposed to the price, which would be at around 11%, if you were to get the same money from the market, let's say you do a sovereign bond, and if you do market, what we call present value of that 40 billion, it would be 29 billion. Compared to 40, you would be getting, you see, you are getting a net present value of 10.6 billion. So whichever way you look at it, this is a good offer. And we carefully looked at it. And these mathematics showing here are clear. The cash flow shows that 40 billion today we take. And then we will pay 55 billion in 6 years. So the implied cost of funds would be that you would pay only 5.6%. But the market survey, if you look at it, if you are to compare with what is in the sovereign yield, you would be paying 11.3%. So which one is better? We are getting a better deal. 5.6 is better than 11.3%. Then if you take the present value of 55 billion at say 11.3%, which is the sovereign yield, you would be getting 29. In other words, 55 billion that we are getting in 60 that will be in 6 years, today would be 29.3 billion. But today we are getting 40. So we are getting 11 billion more. Someone can challenge us whether that is wrong or right, but I think we are very right, and these mathematics are clear. And what about the future value of 40 billion? Assuming that you invest in the sovereign, in the market at 11.3%, this would give you 76 billion. But you are paying how much? You are going to pay 55 instead of 76. So you are going to pay less. And so the gap is 20 billion. The facts speak for themselves. Numbers are stubborn. And they never lie. Honorable Bishop, you saw that in the presentation I made. I think if you can show the presentation I made on the economy, the sectors of the economy. It was just a second slide. So you have our economy. I don't know if it's shown. Can you show it? But the point is, our economy is diversified, and there is no one economy that we rely on. If there's a shock, we would really suffer. We would not suffer because it is diversified. Most of it are services, most of it is agriculture, and we don't have minerals. If you look at this, agriculture is 22.5%. Then transport is 12.7%. Real estate, 8.4%. Financial services, 7.9%. Wholesale, look at construction. In fact, what we would say in minerals, which other countries like Nigeria, like South Africa, and even Egypt have, we don't have. And yet, we have done well in those areas. I think for us it is good that we don't have one sector that we have to rely on. South Africa, if you go to the next slide, if you look at Nigeria, Nigeria used to be #1 economy in Africa for many years. But where is it now? It is #4 because it lost a lot when it came to prices of oil going down. And because it's heavily dependent on oil, its GDP has shrunk. For us, because it's diversified, we have done well. Now, go back again to the next slide, the previous slide. We are doing a lot to also focus on the minerals and general natural resources. And the incentives we have given in the last 3 years are beginning to show, to bear fruit. We have supported the Ministry of Mining with one-off budget, 2 years, I think 2024-25. We gave them about 2.6 billion, and you approved in Parliament, to be able to invest in a number of important areas like lab testing, in recruitment of technical staff. Look at this report that shows which sectors grew in 2025 fastest. This is mining. If you look at there, mining in that quarter, in the third quarter, grew by 11, I don't know whether you can see that number, 16.9. And the previous quarter, it was 15.3, which shows that the work we are doing on mining and quarrying is beginning to bear fruit. And we know that we have a lot of deposits. In fact, if you go to Kwale and many other areas, there's a lot that we can have. So we could be able to expand our GDP by focusing more on this. But my point is, we don't have one economy that if a shock came, we would suffer. And this is why we pride ourselves that we are a resilient economy. Anytime a shock comes, we are able to recover. We bounce back quickly. And Honorable Sunkuli, on the equalization fund, I think maybe I can arrange to give a proper report on this so that you see, because it also comes to you for approval. But our equalization fund board is managing these funds, and we normally, what you vote, we are able to prioritize. But we know that it's been lagging behind. But I'll give a proper report on this. So, which one will go first? We are working. The initial plan was that since you passed the GOE bill, we would set up the infrastructure fund through the Companies Act. And that does not take long. And we would expect that we come back to Parliament. Once you you approve the fund, we still bring to you to approve. And we would then have an account at the central bank to deposit and only use it on the projects that you have approved. We know that we are doing public participation, and we are amenable to also better proposals on this item, and therefore it's a matter that we can also quickly work around it to make sure that we address any matter before the time frame that is there. And this is something we are doing in concurrence. So we'll do further consultation quickly and see how to address this matter. On Honorable Kamene, I think I would need to get the facts on this issue of Portland, unless Mr. Ikiki, you have any facts now. I would agree, I would request that I come back to you on the appropriate questions on this. Honorable Wamutende, pending bills I think I have answered. And on the issue of whether we should delay payment of VAT, we cannot do that because the laws that this House enacts are the ones that the citizens use. So KRA has no legal power to suspend payment of VAT until pending bills are paid. Unfortunately, we have to operate. What we are doing now is to work very hard to avoid further accumulation of pending bills. And you saw we have demonstrated this in the last few years. The last year, June, the last fiscal year, 24-25, we managed to pay all pending bills. I mean, we gave all the exchequer requirements, 100%. We paid CDF, we paid counties, we paid everyone, and we did not have any carryovers to this fiscal year. So far, we have made a lot of progress, and I think if you check with most MDAs, they have received their exchequer, including Parliament. If there are any delays, there may be just few, but I give you assurance we are going to be paying. And we are working hard to make sure by June this year, we will also settle all exchequer requirements that are supposed to be issued based on the budget that you have approved. So we have, and then we have gone to accrual accounting.
Yes,
Majority Leader.
Thank you, Speaker, and the chairperson of this session. PS, on a point of order, and I hear you, that you have released exchequer, you have done exchequer releases for payment of pending bills. And you know the National Treasury is a super ministry. And you're also a super PS to the extent of the powers that you have at the National Treasury. You also know that our laws obligate accounting officers in ministries and MDAs to ensure that pending bills are the first charge to the exchequer. And I think that is where we are going wrong. Because you are releasing money to ministries and MDAs, but because of corrupt practices in those ministries and MDAs, accounting officers are not settling pending bills. And that is the bottom line. And I'll tell you, because I spoke here on Tuesday, and I pleaded with these members to offer meaningful oversight over the executive. Because when you release money, for instance, to pay pending bills, and some of your colleagues then use the money they have to try and extort money from suppliers and hold back on payments, that is where we are going wrong. And you have an opportunity, and I want to challenge you as a PS in charge of the National Treasury, that before further release of expenditure, exchequer to MDAs, you must ensure then that those MDAs first have settled pending bills. I have instances, and you know, yesterday we had a long discussion here that some people want to try and turn political, and I am not interested in politics. What we are interested in is what we said we will offer meaningful oversight. If textbooks were not being paid for because publishers are not being paid, and now we want to extort publishers, and I want you to speak to some of the agencies that are dealing with some of these issues, PS, because there's a lot of extortion rings hanging around ministries with some of your accounting officers, and I think it is only you from the National Treasury who can enforce the law, that you will not release any further exchequer to ministries that are not settling pending bills. And the same with our county governments, because the bulk of pending bills, again, are being held by county governments for the same reasons. Governors and the accounting officers want to withhold money until they are able to extort money from people who have already delivered services, goods and services to the county governments. The National Treasury and the Comptroller of Budget, you have a responsibility to ensure that they all adhere to the law. If pending bills are the first charge to the exchequer, so be it. And it is only you from where you sit and the cabinet secretary in the National Treasury, because as I said, you are super CSAs, super PSAs, because of the powers that reside in the National Treasury, to ensure that that is enforced. Otherwise, we will continue with these circus. Faith guitars about the same pending bills, every other member you hear. And it's because many of the people they represent come to them asking me, oh, help me to get this payment here and there. But these members have no way of getting help. And it's those extortion rings that you must crack and break up, Honorable PS.
Thank you.
Now that I have that opportunity, Chair, if I could just use that to supplement one question. In relation to what Honorable Karoli Omondi was asking, there could have been other alternative proposals or pathways for the partial divestiture of Safaricom, as Honorable Karoli says. And maybe this is an opportunity you would tell Kenya or Kenyans and the world, if there is anybody with an alternative pathway that can deliver a higher value, are you opposed to it or would you welcome it? The same way, if those who are using other market valuations that are not the conventional economic models that we have been shown by our very intelligent chair of finance, and this is actual real intellect now, leave alone the other street intellect that you hear out there. But even that street intellect, if they have a different model that is not known, that can value the share to the 45 and 50 shillings they are telling us, would you be welcoming it?
Yes, I would want to answer your question that as National Treasury, we would welcome any option that would enable Kenyans to get a better value to what we have managed to get through ceding the 15% to Vodacom. So that I confirm, and we are willing to accept anything better. Now, to answer your question, Majority Leader, I want to say two things. One is that we have a circular to all accounting officers that any pending bills that you did not settle the previous year, they become first charge in the budget that Parliament has approved. And that we expect that, like in the last financial year, we do not expect. May I finish so that I can give the
Let
members?
us indulge this, the PS just for a minute, just
now,
conclude.
That's number one. Number two is that we have instituted reforms as Treasury to deal with any accounting officer who misapplies funds we have released and then uses it to pay what they did not submit to us as evidence of requiring payment. So we call it twinning. So if you ask for exchequer, you cannot ask for exchequer without showing which items or which contractor. And once we pay, there is no way an accounting officer can pay. If they do that, please give us the evidence and we will take appropriate action. And I think it's not even Treasury who should do it, because that would now be like an issue also of Parliament that should ask why they are flouting the rules. It is not possible that once we release, you can go and misapply. It used to happen before, but not now. So I want to give that assurance. And I think I have answered that question. So, Honorable Shinyali, can I proceed, Honorable Speaker? Okay.
Let the PS finish the answers, then we'll take another round. Because I know many are using the points of orders to raise other questions.
So I have indicated about the issue of East African portals that we will give a comprehensive reply to the questions raised. And then, Honorable Salasha, we have taken note of what you have said. I think we have nothing to say as Treasury. All we ask is to say whatever we have presented to Parliament, we are seeking for Parliament to approve. And for the public, where public consultation is going on, we are seeking that the public supports this proposal that we have given. But we will go with what Parliament decides. I think I have finished.
Honorable KK, kindly make your responses, then we will take another round of questions.
Thank you very much, Session Chair. I'll just take a few minutes. So on the issue of the existing shareholding, and I think PS tried to explain this, and I want to just explain that a bit further. Vodacom has been a shareholder of Safaricom since its inception. So when you want to negotiate for someone else to buy your business, you are better off negotiating with an existing shareholder who understands the business. So if you get someone else from outside and they come, there are chances that they will disrupt the entire model of this business. So Vodacom has been a partner with us since Safaricom started their operations in Kenya. On the issue was, it's a very strategic asset. Why are we selling it? I want to ask members to think like this. The only thing that is changing is a percentage of shareholding. Nothing else stops happening. And there are concerns like this that were raised during the public participation saying Safaricom holds a lot of data. So what happens when this data is now held by a private entity? Airtel, for example, is a completely foreign-owned company that does the same business. All these other entities that operate in Kenya, including most of the major banks, are international banks that are international in terms of, that are foreign in terms of shareholding. That does not stop them from following our laws and for example, whether it is our data protection laws, whether it is all the rules and laws of Kenya. So the changing in shareholding does not change in any way the operation of this particular entity. And then lastly, as you may recall, on the elections, yes, this was also raised, and one of the members have texted me that question here. We rely on Safaricom for sure, and rely on Safaricom on relaying of election results. But then, honorable members, the changing of shareholding does not change anything, because again, they will still have to operate through the laws of the land. So there is no exemption you are giving that once now, because you own 20% and now you own 55%, that you have to change in terms of how you operate in the land. I think those who are my yes. I think someone answered us about preemptive rights. We did ask Safaricom PLC to provide their articles of association and the memorandum, and we actually confirmed there is nothing that gives the existing shareholders what's called preemptive, yes, not preemptive, it's preemptive rights. I thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll take honorable members, we only have 12 minutes. I will take from that end. I will start there. Honorable Geshimo, Honorable Parashina, and Honorable Maungu. Here, I will take Honorable Owen, I will take Honorable Oundo, and I will take Honorable Farah. On this, I will take Honorable Mishi, I will take Honorable Mudhoni, and I will take Honorable Rahab, because we have no other women this side. Honorable Rahab. Honorable Kerema, honorable members, you are not being fair. We took three. Again.
Order, Kerema, take your seats. Okay.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Yeah, just add to this round. Take another 2 there. Another 2 here. Yes. Add 2. Order, Krima. We'll take an additional 2. So, Krima. And I'm not picking you because you have been disobedient. Because disobedience doesn't pay. We'll take Kijimo, hold on. Wangari, take 2 here, starting with Kirima, 2 here, 2 there. In addition to what you have already taken.
Honorable members, I will take Kirima here, as directed by the Speaker, and I'll take Honorable Nyenze. On this side, I will take Elachi and I will take DMM.
Wednesday and Thursday, those are 4 sitting days or 4 sitting or 3 sitting days. In my construction, those are 3 sitting days. Not a sitting cannot be a day. But I seek further your guidance. But my question is this. I wouldn't want to repeat what was asked on the pending bills. But pending bills is not a fixed item.
Order, members, we are in session, please.
Pending bills.
Let's listen to one another.
Pending bills is not a fixed item. It's a moving target. What are you doing to prevent or to avoid situations of pending bills in future? You have given us the plans that you have to clear the pending bills.
You've already asked your question, honorable members. If we go at that rate, we will not get enough time. So kindly ask the question and don't follow it with a statement.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank
Let
you.
me rest at that.
Thank you.
Honorable Speaker, through you, may I ask the Permanent Secretary for Treasury. As much as we are looking at macro stability on the presentation that you have shown, the presentation looks so juicy. The question is, what about the economic pains that Kenyans are going through in terms of when you talk about the sovereign wealth fund that you are creating and the program that we have introduced? I have not been able to see the physical intervention that you have given out that will be able to sort out issue to do with unemployment, issue to do with the food, like the food basket we have talked about. In 2023, a kilo of unga was going out for 77.4. 2025, you showed is 77.9. So I was like to see if there was a difference in terms of what you are introducing. So in the cost of living, wage stagnation, unemployment.
Made, Parashina. Yield the floor to somebody else.
Yeah.
You've made your point.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Next.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
It's not you. You will come much later. Maungu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. But PS, I will wish to say that from where I sit, I actually support the diversity program that taken by government a bid to liquidate some of the investments we have. But I have a challenge on another front. As a PS in charge of Treasury, you are the custodian of all government resources. And as the ML has said, you reign supreme because of the position you hold. Are you aware that some of the state departments that you finance for various programs as budgeted under this house actually change what has actually been approved? A case in point, State Department for Education. Yesterday we had the Minister for Education here, and as a member of the Committee of Education, last year we had a budget towards infrastructure of public schools across the country, both primary, secondary, and that was actually captured in the Appropriation Act. But what was paid is not what is actually available on the government documents, that is the parliament documents. So what is your position, or are you aware of the same? Because this assembly actually passed a budget, but the State Department for Basic Education disbursed funds to schools which were not part and parcel of what was approved. This is criminal, and I wish to find out what is your position on the same. Thank you.
Very well. Honorable Kirima.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Through you, Honorable Speaker, I am asking the PS as pertains to the funds we are supposed to realize from the sale of the shares of Safaricom. Safaricom, the shares are owned by the government on behalf of taxpayers. And when we talk of taxpayers, we are talking of all Kenyans, wherever they are. And on behalf of my constituency, I'm asking this. I don't mind how much they are going to cost or how valuable it is going to be. But now after the sale, since we have seen before the sale of shares of Kenya Commercial Bank, which was a public entity, Kenya Airways, and many others. When the sales of those entities was realized, it was taken to consolidated fund. This one is going to go to the infrastructure fund, as we are going to tailor it as the same as affordable housing. Now, since it's going to go to the infrastructure fund, and every Kenyan is a contributor or a owner of these shares, how are we going to benefit, especially the people of my constituency, when it goes to the infrastructure fund, and it happens that the infrastructures, the roads, which are going to be built, none of them is going to go to my constituency. Is it possible to, my question, Speaker, is this, is it possible to have equitable distribution of the sale, maybe half of it, if it's 240 billion, we have 500 million per constituency, and then the balance can go to the government, so that at least every shareholder can feel that he used to own and he has gained out of the sale of these shares. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Very well, Nyenze.
Thank you. Thank you, Speaker. My question is on the opportunity cost of selling the 15% government Safaricom shares. My concern is the loss of dividends, because we will no longer be getting these dividends, which has been a source of income. So how much dividends were we getting compared to what we'll be getting? And since we are investing in infrastructure, how many years will it take before we start getting these benefits? And then there's also reduced strategic influence after we sell, because we'll have only 20% retained and 2 board seats. Don't you think that this will affect the company's future directions, since the number of board members will be reduced? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Owen.
Thank you, Speaker. I just want to say this. It's 15 years, PS, since the Equalization Fund, which is set in Article 204, actually a constitutional fund. And this Equalization Fund, 15 years now, my questions are, has the objective of the Equalization Fund been met? Because money has been disbursed. And if you go back to those areas which were meant to receive that money, you actually see no difference. I read that there is an Equalization Fund board, that advisory board that manages this fund. But have they done an M&E to see the impact? Otherwise, is this like a slush fund that is just actually used by people? It's just a fund that is resources of the government that are being wasted. Or is it actually meeting that? And what would be your, if you would have a problem of bringing that fund to Parliament and set up a board, same as NGCDF, so that we actually have a clear structure? Sometimes I ask myself, who do I ask about Equalization Fund for my constituency or my county? Some of the money goes to the county government, some of it goes to the national government through the county commissioner. And there is a lot of unexplainable work within this area. PS, please.
Point made.
Let us know what this Equalization Fund has done for the country up to this level.
Oundo.
Thank you, Speaker. Thank you, PS. I just want to put to you, PS, that in one of your presentations, you have spoken about merging state corporation from 42 to 20. You want to dissolve 25 corporations, and you want to win off 13 professional bodies from the exchequer. In respect of the merger and dissolution, you have not given us any timelines, because these timelines are important, because these state corporations have members of staff, have obligations, have everything. We need to be very clear to avoid a situation of causing anxiety and causing probably delay or failure to deliver on their mandate. Speaker, I would want to refrain from commenting on Safaricom shares, the divestiture, for now, because I'll have my time on the floor of the House. But as we do so, it is important that we put into mind a few issues. First of all, there are Capital Market Authority regulations on how to deal with divestiture. There is, of course, the IVS 2025, then the IFRS 13. So that's where the debate will have to be. But as I conclude, we have always said, as the valuers, the best market sentiment is to place the asset on the market, let people go and auction and determine the true intrinsic value from the eye of the purchaser and from also on the position of the seller. Thank you, Speaker.
Member for Wajir West.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And Madam Chair, my question goes to the Chair of Finance. And my question is, and even the PS, what we are selling today as Kenyans, the shares 15%, is through the hard work of some Kenyans called dealers, who started with Safaricom from inception, invested a lot of money, and exactly the value today you are valuing your 15% is through the hard work of those Kenyans. And in this aspect of all structure, they are not there, and with the history with Vodacom, wherever they have acquired shares in other world, they weed off or they weed off the dealers. What are we doing as Kenyans to protect 5 million workers who are working for those dealers and the dealers who have invested all along up to date?
Thank you.
To make this. Number two, I have the second question, Madam Speaker, is about
we said one question, Farah.
And you made it too long, even that one question.
E-procurement. As we, today, we have done six months of the budget, and all departments of this country have not done any procurement for developmental budget because of e-procurement. What is the government doing to ease that problem? Thank you.
Thank you, Elachi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Speaker. And I want to also thank the PS. Mine, PS, is just to ask, you've done as Treasury a lot of undertaking with many big companies. For example, the expressway company, the company that did expressway. You went through a court process, you lost the ruling. And now KRA has decided to use this ruling to send a lot of demands to many companies. So is Treasury going to honor, or is it back now to the taxpayers or to us to pay now through what Treasury had honored? And why we are also very afraid of this privatization is the question people are asking. Is the money going to go to the consolidated bank, then to the consolidated fund? Then you are able to trace and audit that the money came in and went to the project, and we are able to see. And is Parliament going to really oversight this infrastructure fund?
Thank you, DMM.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. PS, Dr.
Hold
Kiptoo.
on, Honorable Nyamai, what is out of order?
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I would like to raise a matter which is very close to what the Honorable Elachi has said, and I think Honorable Ishungwa tried to go there, and also the Honorable Geshimo. Honorable Speaker, this concerns Article 206 of the Constitution, and clearly concerning the infrastructure fund as it relates to the consolidated fund. Honorable Speaker, I would like to ask, why is it that the Cabinet Secretary and the PS, or rather executive, has not brought a bill concerning the infrastructure fund so that we are assured that the money is ring-fenced? Because we have debts, we have pending bills, and we have all sorts of bills, and we can have a situation whereby we specifically, we come up with the infrastructure fund. But because of pressing interest, the money goes to other places.
Honorable Rachel, you've made your point, and you've asked
thank you very
the
much,
same
Madam
questions
Chair.
that has been asked. Honorable DMM.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Speaker. PS, Dr. Kiptoo, you've painted a very good picture about the macroeconomics. The foreign reserves, the rate of inflation, the 6th largest economy, the exchange rate. But on the other hand, the ordinary Kenyan, their verdict of the performance of the economy is speaking very differently. Look at the number of Kenyans who are registered on SHA versus those who are contributing. And you see a very big challenge in terms of contribution to SHA. Look at the education sector and the number of households that could not take their children to grade 10 just last week. Look at the number of households that are reaching out to special programs for food. When are we going to connect this gain at the macroeconomic level to the microeconomic level at the household level, so Kenyans can enjoy this lossy picture that we are painting up here?
Thank you.
We are talking about the future, sovereign wealth and infrastructure funds. But Kenyans are asking, why are we not talking about our life now?
Thank you very much. Mishi.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, my question is on state corporation, but I just want to be very specific, and I need some clarity from our Principal Secretary. We have heard about the merging of some state corporation, and I'm just talking about Kenya Fishing Industries Corporation, KFIC. This corporation is really assisting those regions where we do fishing. In fact, it is very instrumental. It is linking the fishing industry and the fishermen together with the government. And right now, they have done so many projects. In fact, right now, they are building a 25-ton vessel for the fishermen, our BMUs. Now we are hearing that it's either going to be dissolved or it's going to be merged with a certain state corporation. We don't know which one. And we are asking if it's going to be dissolved or rather being merged, what will happen to these all activities they are doing for our fishermen, our BMU, and the fishing industry at large. I'm asking that because we are really worried as people from the areas where fishing is done, the Nyanza region, the Coast region, in fact, the other regions within the country. The other one is Coast Development Authority. This is the only state corporation within the Coast region, the CDA, and what we are hearing is that is going to be closed. They have done quite a number of some projects, and they have done also so many proposals, including Mwache Dam, which is now being done by the government, but it came from CDA, the Coast Development Authority. And there's so many other projects in terms of schools, in terms of boreholes and others. And now if it's going to be closed, what will happen to the workers, to the staffs, that is, to those projects which they have started? Are they going to be stalled projects, or are they going to be taken to those other state entities which are going to be merged with? So what will happen? And also, can we have the list of those state corporations which are going to be merged, and they are merged with which other entities, so that we can be clear and we can know what will be the implications. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Mudhoni.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, my question is directed to the PS. And I want to thank him for the very educative and insightful presentation that he has made today. But Madam Speaker, I want to speak on behalf of the pensioners of this country. Madam Speaker, I want to ask the PS. One, pension is a contributory scheme whereby the worker contributes, especially teachers. They contribute 7.5% of their salary every month, and the government also tops up 15% of that amount. And Madam Speaker, it is well known that Kenyan workers retire at the age of 60 years.
Please don't make a speech, Honorable Muthoni. Ask the
Honorable
question.
Speaker, I'm asking this because my question to the PS is, what becomes so difficult in computing this money so that as the workers retire, they don't wait for this money year in, year out, Madam Speaker? Because our pensioners, Honorable Speaker, they are suffering, and most cases it's a matter of documents, so that there are a lot of bureaucracies in the ministry which owns back this money, Madam Speaker, and the pensioners, especially teachers, they suffer for more than even 5 years, Honorable Speaker. What reforms is the ministry putting in place to ensure that once someone retires, the money follows the next
You've
month?
made your
Thank
point, Honorable Mukami.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker and peers. My questions goes to Honorable Kimani. Safaricom is declaring the dividends on that 1st March. And the government want to sell the shares before that 1st March. Why can't we delay and sell after that 1st March so that we can't lose the dividends? The other question goes to the PS. PS, the Kenya Revenue Authority has announced that from 1st January, it's going to implement the automated framework, e-teams. Is the 2026 implementation timeline realistic given current adoption? PS, SMEs, most of them, they buy things from the formal suppliers who are not registered with KRA and do not issue e-teams invoices. For example, if you go to a market, you want to buy beans, that Mama Soko will not give you an e-teams. Yet, if I go and supply those beans in the government, I am supposed now to go and knock out whatever they have paid from them. What are we going to do about that? Because if you use Boda Boda, they are not going to give you e-teams. What are we going to do?
Thank you. Very well. Honorable Kirwa.
Yes, thank you, Madam Speaker. My question is to the PS. I've been watching very closely the value of the shilling to a dollar. It is ranging between 129, 130, and 131. It is going to 3 years when the exchange rate is still at that figure. Why is it that it cannot come down to 120? Why is it cannot come to 110 or even go up to 175? What are we doing to keep a shilling at 129 to a dollar? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable Makali and not Makali Mulu. David.
Thank you, the session chair and speaker for the occasion. My question is directed to the PS Treasury. Last year, the government made a deliberate decision to divest from public sugar mills. At the time of divesting from the public sugar mills to list them out, there were arrears due to farmers, due to employees, and due to retirees. We thank the government for taking a step to pay some arrears due to the farmers. But we still have arrears that are due to farmers. And we still have arrears due to employees who are employed in the public sugar mills. Right now, as we speak, Bwana CS, and I want to speak specifically for Nzoia Sugar, there are arrears of 63 million shillings due to farmers. And there are 1.5 billion shillings due to employees. Some of those employees have now been rendered redundant. They are owed 22 months salary arrears. They have children to go to school, they have households to meet. And right now, as I speak, PS, all the employees of Nzoia Sugar are on the streets demonstrating and picketing, demanding their salary arrears and even retirees. We want to know from the PS, when are these arrears
Kenyan, not Kenyans, not just Kenyan citizens. That requiring that Kenyan citizens be additional directors in the company. That's requiring that the leadership of Safaricom PLC should remain headed by a Kenyan. And so these are some of the safeguards that because decisions in a company is made in the boardroom through the directors. So there is that assurance. There is more directors, independent directors being provided for, who must be Kenyan citizen, and the CEO must continue being Kenyan. So that takes care of the question that Honorable Nyenze had asked. The issue of what Mheshimiwa from Meru asked, Bishop asked, you know, if you were to take 500 million shillings and give to 290 constituencies, that would be 1.43 trillion shillings. This transaction is only 260 billion shillings. But of course, the PS would address that question better. How to ensure there is equity in terms of the use of that particular money?
Point of order, through Speaker. The chairman is misleading us. He's not giving us the truth as it is, because if it's 290 billion, you divide by constituencies which are there, that is 291 constituencies. It will be 291 billion. So if you divide by 500, it will be 145 billion. Then the balance can go to the government. As simple as that.